Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I am your host, Asia the Bird. To have a very special guest with me today, she is the CEO and founder of MeFeater. Please welcome Gabrielle Amani. Hello, Gabrielle, and welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks you for having me, Asia. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. So I definitely want to go ahead and really ask, tell us where you're from and tell us about your upbringing.
I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm born and raised. I'm actually in the house I grew up in now. I'm the oldest of about nine siblings.
Wow.
My mom had me at 19. So my parents are Jamaican and
Mhm.
Panamanian. My dad's Panamanian. My mom's Jamaican.
Mhm.
Um, and I now live in Atlanta, but I am back home. And yeah.
I definitely want to get into, did you have any interest prior to being involved in media and entertainment?
No. Well, when I was younger, I wanted to be a fashion designer. That was something I really was into when at a young age, but it was always like fashion for me. It was never like in
Mhm.
any other profession. And then when I learned how to write and I really enjoyed writing, it was like the eighth
Mhm.
grade when I learned like, oh, okay, I can merge writing and fashion.
Right. Yeah, that's really, really cool. But I definitely want to get into, so in one of the interviews, you talked about how you worked in corporate. Tell us about you working for corporate and what was like the turning point by saying like, hey, I'm done working a corporate job.
Yeah, so I started interning around when I was 14. God was good. I had an aunt already in fashion, so she would bring me. I would have a summer internship every
Mhm.
year. So because I started interning so early, I entered the corporate like workforce as a freelancer. As a
Mhm.
freelancer, I did social media and other administrative tasks for J. Crew, Burberry, Gotex, Viet. Now they sold to Celebes, I believe. But my
Mhm.
big break was at a company called Merchants Hospitality, where I
Mhm.
was brought in to be the marketing director. It was
Mhm.
a corporate office over on Wall Street. They owned a bunch of restaurants. They still do. They're still in operation. They switched some of the restaurants out, but they're still in operation.
Mhm.
I enjoyed my corporate time. I thought it was really fun
Mhm.
and really cool. Um, I enjoyed it. You know, it really
Mhm.
taught me how to be a boss. It taught me how to be crafty. It taught me how to, really depend on myself. I was in a
Right.
position where there was no one above me. So because of that, I had to
Mhm.
learn everything, Google everything. I had to get creative on how to find things out, how to get things done, because there was no one I could ask for the answers. So corporate was a really pivotal time for me. I think because I worked a corporate job so early, I got that job at 20. I had like a corner office. I had a lot of responsibility at this company. I decided, this isn't what I want to do with the rest of my life. What I want to do is to like really call the shots, be the true boss. So
Right.
after that, that's when I really decided to like put all my eggs into MeFeater at that point.
Mhm. Now you went to FIT. So what was it that you majored in? What was your experience like being at FIT?
So I went to FIT through working on Wall Street. Before Wall Street, I was going to Hunter at the time, but I
Mhm.
wasn't doing well in Hunter. So
Mhm.
when I hit Wall Street, I realized in order to do a better job, I needed to start to go to school for marketing. So
Mhm.
I switched over to FIT, and I enrolled myself in their marketing and communication course. I think it was called at the time. What is called the communication course? It was like marketing and advertising or
Mhm.
communications and advertising. Essentially, like it was their communications major, and they had
Right.
like a bunch of different concentrations under it. But
Mhm.
I needed more, so
Right.
I decided I saved up my money. And it's so funny looking back at it. I probably could have had my corporate office pay for school, if
Right.
I really like freaking it
Mhm.
at the time, but for some reason, like I felt like a bit ashamed that I wasn't already in
Mhm.
school. So when I went back into it, I just,
Mhm.
paid for classes on my own. But yeah, so I went to FIT for marketing. I really enjoyed it. I didn't finish at FIT. Once I quit my corporate job, I just went full straight into like building on my company. But FIT was great. It taught me about demographics and your target audience, how to make yourself different, and I loved it. I really loved FIT, and I was thinking about even going back and finishing at some point before I have children. But I definitely I loved it. It was such a great experience. It taught me so much about marketing in just that one semester. And what I learned there, I applied to my business. So it was a great choice and great option.
Yeah, I definitely want to switch gears and talk about MeFeater because it focuses on music, fashion, beauty, and Black celebrity culture specifically. But tell us the story of how MeFeater came about and what made you name it MeFeater.
So my parents are immigrants. I am first gen. So the first
Mhm.
college I ever went to was City Tech in New York City, specifically in Brooklyn. City Tech was an engineering school. So myself and a few of my friends, same situation. Either we were immigrant kids or we were American kids, but all of our parents wanted us to be in STEM, something either scientific, tech based, engineering, or mathematical. So my friends and I were really creative. And at that time, we came together. We had a big meeting. I called everybody in. We had a big meeting. And we were like, yo, like, let's do something creative because all of us are just stuck right now. We don't want to do this. Let's do something creative. Let's start a blog. At the time, Tumblr was really hot. And some of our peers was getting hot off Tumblr. So we were like, oh, shoot, people are getting hot off Tumblr. Maybe we could do the same. So we came together. Some people took it serious, some people didn't. Some people were just here for the meeting. Some people left after. They didn't really look back to it. But me and a select few started it. And honestly, I was the only one that really kept it going. I was the only one that really, really wanted to do it. Because for me, my goal was always to work for magazines, work in fashion. So having a blog based on fashion and like current events was really dope for me because I could show that to internships and jobs
Mhm.
hired. I would actually show MeFeater as like a part of my portfolio to get hired for jobs, especially back in my freelancing days. So
Right.
I remember when I was on the phone, I was on a four-way. It was like four of us on the phone, and we were coming up with names. And I pitched two names. I pitched one,
Mhm.
I can't remember, but I pitched Femme Eater. There was a magazine at the time that was called Eater, and I always thought that was a dope name. So I was like, what about Femme Eater? Because it's fashion, entertainment, music. I was
Mhm.
interested in fashion. We had a person who was interested in entertainment. We had a person interested in music. So basically, those were
Mhm.
the three pillars of the mag. And then they're like, nah, that's too feminine. Like that doesn't sound like people are gonna really enjoy it. It's too girly.
Mhm.
We want to open it up to the men too. And then also
Mhm.
at the time we was immature, we thought femme eater was like referring to vaginas. Very immature stuff. We were
Mhm.
17 at the time. So we were like, we
Mhm.
don't want our names to be associated with eating vagina. Weird stuff we were thinking about. And then I was like, all right, so let's switch out the F and the M. Let's call it meth eater. And let's pronounce the meth instead of like meef, because I know the MEF is next to an E. So a lot of, especially my Southern girls, they'll call it me feeder, or they'll take out the E and just call it MF feeder or MEF feeder. And
Right.
I was like, let's pronounce it like meth, right? Because at the time I was watching a lot of Dr. Phil, I was watching a lot of Oprah, and the
Mhm.
episodes that always got me were the crystal meth addicts. They were so
Mhm.
hooked to crystal meth. Their teeth was falling out. Their face had the like the real bad like acne like scarring,
Mhm.
and
Right.
their lives were ruined. But they couldn't get off the meth. They couldn't get off the meth. So I was like, damn. I feel like music, entertainment, and fashion is that addicting. Let's pronounce it like meth eater. Because this is something we consume. We consume music, entertainment, and fashion. And not only do we consume it, we're addicted to it. So that's how I came up with the name.
Mhm. Yeah, that's very interesting because that reminds me like the meth, addicts and drug addicts that, that show like Intervention from A&M, I used to look at that all the time. And I like the wordplay of what you did is, meth feeder because, like how you say it's an addiction, like the lifestyle, the culture, the
Yes.
fashion and music, we live in an era of social media. So that's
Mhm.
addicting in itself, and that's what social media is designed to do to keep you hooked and to stay on your phone for longer periods of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You aced it. You got it. Boom. That's it. It's so addicting. It keeps us on our phones and it really drives our culture. The
Mhm.
arts are so important. It's crazy that they've been trying to take it out of schools because the arts are so important. I mean, You,
Mhm.
I mean, look at the youth. Depending on what the music is, they're either doing drugs or selling drugs. So you
Mhm.
could really hypnotize a culture with music, entertainment, and fashion.
Mhm, yeah, absolutely. But I wanna get into the MeFeater Agency. So what are some of the things that you offer in terms of the MeFeater Agency?
Thank you for asking. It's so beautiful because we haven't officially launched, but we're getting so much business. I feel so blessed. So Meth Agency, which is an extension of Meth Eater, we is an agency that specializes in marketing and creating things within music, entertainment, and fashion. Some of the things we offer are Fashion Week PR. That's the PR you see a lot of like celebrities will probably get, or maybe like public figures who want to go to Fashion Week, right? When you go to
Right.
Fashion Week, it's not just you take an airplane and you go. You actually have to like reach out to every show, demand, or sometimes you get invited to get a seat. Then you got to go there,
Mhm.
get dressed, have the whole energy, photos, know people, mingle, network. That's something we really specialize in. So we do Fashion Week
Mhm.
PR. We do event coordination. One of the things we specialize in is fashion shows. We did a Converse show for one of my great friends named Malachi Spivey, who owns a brand named Human Nature Worldwide. We produced his show last month. And we have a lot more shows we're going to produce in the September season. I'm excited, and hopefully we could touch London and Paris and produce some shows overseas. But
Mhm.
so we do fashion shows. We do a lot of fashion, beauty, corporate events as well. We do a lot of content creation, a lot of style casting, and a lot of just style revamping. All, a lot of people come to us for that. Like a lot of rappers, I will say, they come to us and say, "Hey, we want to change her style." Well, I should say labels, because really not the rapper herself or himself. It's really the label. Hey, we want to change their style. We want them to be received better, more from the fashion world.
Mhm.
How do we do that? So we come up with
Right.
a plan to have them more received and to be seen more as a fashion girl. Because the beauty of fashion, which some of the amazing greats have realized, like a Zendaya, a Cardi B, a Beyonce, a Rihanna, is it really expands your brand. Even as a musician or as an entertainer, if you're
Mhm.
able to sell fashion, those are multiple checks for you to get. So it's
Mhm.
really important to be in fashion. So that is something that our agency really can does for talent. We
Mhm.
basically take them and kind of revamp their whole image and bring them into a fashion category, because it just brings
Mhm.
more money along the lines. If you could sell skincare, beauty, nails, etc. It just helps you. Your business helps you stay on. Um,
Right.
we also offer, of course, like newsletters, things like that, graphic design, website design, anything within the design category. And then we also offer strategy. I mean, what if you have no strategy, no plan? How are you going to get the job done? I think strategy is super important. We offer ad buying, and then last but not least, because it is a marketing agency, we offer marketing. So we do quite a bit. It's quite a bit under the sun. The beauty of the agency, everything we were able to do for ourselves, we're basically bottling what we did for MeFeater and
Mhm.
putting it in a package and basically sprinkling it on our clients. Like whatever y'all
Mhm.
want, because we did it for ourselves, we can do it for you.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to push forward and talk about the digital magazine editions of MeFeater because you had different celebrities and influencers such as like Ebony Davis. You've had Jada Chivas on the cover. So I definitely want to ask you this: like, are you guys continuing the magazine editions of MeFeater, or are you guys taking a break from that?
We want to bring it back. We haven't printed since Jada. Sometimes with magazines it's tricky because it is expensive to print, and we've never sold a physical mag yet. I would like
Mhm.
to sell some physical copies. I would like to see what it's like. I'm not somebody that doesn't try just because she's scared. Like I like to try new things. So I would like
Mhm.
to try the next issue we are dropping. I would love to print. I'll talk to my team about it. I think when we do print, we have to really have like a plan behind it, because I definitely want to sell it. So we'll see. We'll really, really see.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I definitely want to get into so for anyone who wants to start a career in journalism, especially establishing a media journalism brand, what are some of the key things that one should understand when establishing their own media and journalism brand? And what are some things somebody should take into account when having a brand?
That's a good question. Okay, so establishing a brand period, I'll say this. Purpose. Why are you selling? What are you selling?
Hmm.
What are you selling? So number one, purpose. Number two, product. What are you selling? Why is it important? Why would people buy it? Why are people into it? So
Mhm.
second. Number three, income. Like, how much is everything going to cost? How much is it
Right.
going to how much are you going to have to put up of your own money to get this
Mhm.
started? How big is your runway? That's something we don't talk about a lot. I want my new brand owners, my new business owners to really think about runway. How much money do you have in the bank? How long could it last you? How much could you consistently invest in your dream? These
Right.
dreams are expensive. A lot of things don't pop. It takes years. how
Right.
how much money can you invest? How much time can you invest?
Mhm.
Um, is what you're doing special, and do you believe it's special? Because it might not be special, but if you believe it's special, then that's all that matters. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like, is it special? Do you believe it's special? Things such as
Mhm.
that. And I think starting a brand, honestly, anyone could do it now. It's so much opportunity with social media. I think it's just about really understanding like who you are, making sure you're a part of your brand, and making sure that you're going to invest a lot of time in it. In
Mhm.
regards to media, because I believe your first question was how to start a media brand, correct?
Mhm. Yes.
Media brand is tricky because you have to really figure out what part of media you want to lie in. Are you going to be in gossip? Are you going to be specialty? Are you going to talk to Afro Latinas? Are you going to talk to blacks? Are you going to talk to millennials, Gen Z, Asians, blah, blah, blah? So with
Mhm.
media, it's about getting really focused on your target demographic. So
Mhm.
focused, it's like, yeah. And then also too, it's about having a specialty. The shade room, it's gossip.
Right.
You know, uh, what's a good one? The griot is news. So it's like about having just some type of specialty. You know what I mean? MeFeater is fashion because that's one of the main things we do. A lot of brands don't really compete with us, or media outlets don't compete with us on fashion. So it's
Mhm.
about really understanding your audience, what they want to see, and how frequently are you ready to tell them. I love the shade room because they post like every few minutes. It's mwah, I love it. But
Mhm.
understand the frequency of their audience. But then you have someone a bit more specialty, maybe like the New York Times, that may not be posting every few minutes, but they're posting hardcore journalism because their audience likes to read. Their audience likes to be informed in a fuller way.
Right.
Sometimes your audience might just want to read a caption and they're out. But then sometimes you might have audience, and I love those. Ooh, I hope we have those. Those are the ones I love the most, who actually sit there and read the article and they're ready to give an opinion. They want to discuss it, and they want to really like be enlightened. So you just got to really know your audience for real and for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But I definitely want to get into the fashion aspect because, like, one of my loves was not only beauty and art, but also fashion. I learned style from my dad, learning how to dress, put things together. Me and my dad would always look at fashion shows like Rachel from Zahira Murad and, Alexander McQueen and Stefan, Rolland, many other different fashion designers. But I definitely want to go ahead and get into the New York Fashion Week. So that recently ended last month, and you hosted the Galentine's Day New York Fashion Week show. So I definitely want to really ask, like, like how did that show, like, how did you guys come with that show? But also, too, how important is it to promote up and coming Black designers?
So how did Galentine's Day come to be? So it's no secret that fashion can be a bit racist.
Right.
And I would say I started going to fashion shows when I was 18. I
Mm-hmm.
used to turn at them. I would volunteer at them. Back in the day, things used to be at Lincoln Center. Those were dope. They had a really
Mm-hmm.
cool volunteer process that you could join if you was in like college, or I believe college, because that's when I did it. And it was just so dope. I loved the shows. So as I started going for MeFeater, I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
The first few seasons were great. Fashion Week was still kind of like small. It wasn't as big as it was, believe it or not, because
Mm-hmm.
basically I'm 28. So that means I started going to fashion shows
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago.
Mm.
And I've seen them grow. I've seen them change. I've seen them really become bigger than life, especially in the New York market. I've been to the ones in Paris, the ones in London, but of course the ones in New York, being that I'm from this city.
Mm-hmm.
And as they gotten bigger, the lists have gotten, more exclusive, more sexy, more everything. But I will
Mm-hmm.
say the treatment's kind of gotten worse, believe it or not. When I started when I was a young girl, it was actually better, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
than now as I'm an adult.
Mhm.
And one thing that I was getting disappointed in, I don't think Black media was as prioritized at these shows. Funny
Mhm.
enough, the ones that disheartened me the most were like the Black designers. You know, it's really interesting. What you'll find in fashion is a lot of Black designers have Caucasian PR.
Mhm.
And, you know, I don't know. Actually, I do know this. I understand that they don't know everyone who's important or everyone that makes a social difference or makes a big splash in the market the way they do.
Mhm.
And Google is free. And
Right.
people are not using Google. And it's so disrespectful at times the way they treat Black talent and Black media.
Mhm.
I saw a few situations this year too that was also quite disheartening over at Private Policy. They turned away Soraya over from Empire. They turned
Mm.
away Cleotrapa. They turned away Maya the Dawn, and so much amazing Black talent. And
Mhm.
even though they saw the paparazzi snapping so much shots, they
Mhm.
just, and I can't say they because I don't think it's Private Policy. It's the
Mhm.
PR they hired. And
Mhm.
that's the issue within fashion. You don't see the PR as involved in the scene or involved in knowing the who's who.
Right.
And because of it, they're sometimes very rude and very dismissive to Black media, Black talent. And to be honest, a lot of talent in media of color, Asian media, Asian talent, Latin media, Latin talent, brown media, brown talent, you
Mhm.
know. And for me, being on the inside or the outside looking in or the inside looking out, I said to myself, wow, I want to create a space where my audience feels respected. I want to create a space where they feel involved and prioritized and just
Mhm.
almost like we're happy to have you. So
Right.
that's why I started doing my own shows because I
Mhm.
really wanted to create a space for the media, the talent, the influencers, the enthusiasts, the
Mhm.
buyers to come in, see amazing fashion, but feel just seen. You know what I mean?
Right.
And feel appreciated for being there. And on
Mhm.
a second note, I wanted to create a space for women designers because in fashion, fashion is quite male in the dominance of who has the
Right.
bigger shows, the top collections, the top lines, etc. And even though I love the queer representation you see in fashion, that means a lot. And God is good. We've always seen that representation. So that's
Mhm.
dope. But I will say the women reputation kind of hasn't been as strong for the last few years.
Right.
So for me, being that MeFeater's readership is 70% women,
Mhm.
90% people of color, I said, okay,
Mhm.
there's a gap in this market, and I think we could fill it.
Right.
So I decided to have shows on Galentine's Day. Galentine's Day was perfect because it falls right within Fashion Week in the
Mhm.
fall winter season. And because it's Galentine's Day, we can celebrate the ladies or
Mhm.
or people that we just believe needs to be celebrated, but mostly the ladies.
Mhm.
And we can have shows that we want to see, artists that we want to hear, and really infuse the two. Because
Mhm.
even even though like we see amazing talent like a Telfar, Brandon Blackwood, or Laquan Smith, like
Mhm.
they're still not like their woman pairs, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And I want to see that, and I love those men. Oh my God, I love those men. Brandon came to the show, and he gave us flowers. He gave me flowers. He came with his fiance, and he was so supportive.
That's really
And
cool.
that's the thing about the fashion community. It is supportive when you know the right people, and they
Mhm.
want each other win. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. I just want people to feel appreciated. I'm not going to front. Like that's why I made this media company. I wanted blacks and honestly, on everybody who felt not seen to see
Mhm.
themselves in high fashion, see themselves in a higher elevated way, a chic way, a sexy way. And I
Mhm.
just that's why we created the shows. That's
Mhm.
why. That's why I got into producing fashion shows because I also
Mhm.
see that as the higher you get in the fashion world, you want high production. So that's why I created the MEF agency, so we can give high production to the ones that want high production, but then
Right.
also the MeFeater show for the people who just want to be appreciated and enjoy
Mhm.
fashion on a very
Absolutely.
high level.
Mm. Absolutely. Yeah, most definitely. But I definitely want to get into, if you had your top 5 favorite fashion designers, who would they be and why? And is there any like favorite runway show that you've been to?
Good question. Top runway show of all time for me that really opened my mind, changed my life really, because after I saw this show, I wanted to copy it. Was the Philip Klein show they did over I want to say it was at a theater. I want to
Mhm.
say it was at 34th. It was at a theater. It had Tiana Taylor in it. It had Ray Shrimmer, 21 Savage, Future, and
Mhm.
it was so lively and stunningly beautiful. I will never forget. I remember that show. I met Alton Mason's parents at that show. They were so proud of
Mm.
her. That show was so strongly stunning. The mix of music and fashion was so well done. I knew right then and there, this is what I want to do. I want to produce fashion shows on this level. So one of
Mhm.
my favorite top shows of all time was that show because it inspired me to get into the business and start producing. So that's my top show. Philip Klein, I want to say 2018. It was way before COVID. And it was at a theater over by 34th. I can't remember the theater's name, but it was on by 34th.
Mhm.
You know the theater, feel free to say it. I don't know if you know New York, but it was such a dope show. And my top 5 designers, that's tricky and hard and it's always revolving. But if I can be true to myself and answer it, definitely Brandon Blackwood because he's a friend. I'm
Mhm.
definitely big into nepotism. So if I know you and you show love, you are one of my favorite designers.
Mhm.
Malachi Spivey, another amazing friend. We produced a show for Converse. He is actually one of my favorite designers right now. His stuff is amazing.
Mhm.
Um, Ashley Serasio, another friend, someone who I appreciate. I wear her bag almost every single day. She's a young woman from the Bronx, Afro Latina, Dominican, beautiful, smart, feisty, love her stuff. Um,
Mhm.
and even though, he's such a visionary, such a loner, I want to work with him like much more all the time. A guy named Wole, he has a brand called Against Medical Advice. I really love his brand. He makes amazing pieces.
Mm.
I really love his stuff. And then it's a three-way tie between Who Decides War, love them.
Mhm.
Um, Tier, another friend of mine, love Nigeria. He's doing amazing over there. And then, believe it or not, I love House of CB. I'm a bustier girl. You can't see it. I got my little,
Mhm.
but I wear corsets a lot. I'm wearing
Mhm.
a corset right now. And I appreciate them. Yeah, you feel I have them. I wear them quite a bit. And they House of CB, I appreciate their stuff because they build in corsets in their clothes.
Mm.
And for a bustier girl that wants to give you Hourglass every chance you can get, because that's me. I
Mhm.
love Hourglass. I love their stuff because it builds in it builds in this the hardware to really create the shape. You have great
Mhm.
support in the boob area. You have great
Mhm.
support in the chest, in the hip, in the waist, and it gives you an
Mhm.
hourglass shape. So I love their stuff. I love the corset, the lining, the boning, and all their dresses. It's fantastic. So those would
Mhm.
be my top favorite right now. It's forever revolving. Oh, also too, Hanifa, love her.
Mhm.
Very supportive of the brand. I don't know her personally, but she's very supportive of MeFeater. Broken Land, we had them in the show. Love them. Another
Mhm.
Black woman, Rue by Rupal. She's been
Mhm.
in 2 of our shows so far. Love her stuff. She's like one of the only South Asian designers doing it on the level she's doing it. And then if I wanted to get a bit like, I want to get a bit, outside of my who I'm friends with and know personally. There's a brand, a Korean brand named Push Button that
Mm.
really infuses a lot of anime characters. I love anime. I'm a big anime enthusiast. I'm a big nerd. So they're one of my favorites as well because I love how they infuse anime characters.
Mm. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, Broken Land, like, I seen some of their work. It's really, really phenomenal. also
Mhm.
like Brandon Blackwood, he started with like the trunk bags and he just evolved to clothing. I love the fur
Furs.
fur coats that he did. It's absolutely so boss. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
he's so dope. I mean, he's so inspiring. That's why he's one of my favorites too, because he's a good person. Like I
Mhm,
love creative stuff, but when people are good people, that's all I need to really stand or be a fan or support
mhm,
because that
absolutely.
we're forgetting that's all it's about, being a good person.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Also too, like Laquan Smith, like he's like the male
Oh
version
yeah,
of
he's
like
so good.
Versace, but I like his stuff because it's like very sexy, very, futuristic in a way. So that's really, really
Hmm.
cool
He's so
with
true.
this
He's
stuff.
good.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
good.
yeah, and there's another artist that I went to school with. I went to SCAD with her. Her name is Chelsea Billingsley,
Hmm.
and she's a crochet designer. She does like streetwear, and she's good with the crochet hooks. She's from
Oh,
Chicago. Her name is Chelsea B, House of Chelsea B, and you should check out her stuff. Her stuff is phenomenal.
okay. I gotta check it out. I love SCAD. Being in Georgia, I met a lot of SCAD students, so that's dope.
Yeah, yeah. I went to SCAD also, so yeah, but her stuff is very, very phenomenal. Also another designer that I think you'll really love is Nelly the designer. She also went to school with me, and she does really cool, designs, and you would love her stuff.
Okay, I gotta check them out. Send them to me.
Yeah.
I love fresh new design. I mean, places like SCAD, Parsons, FIT, they really foster amazing talent. They really do. So
Mhm.
I gotta check them out.
Yeah, absolutely. And and just being, a person that, went to school. I also did like 4 years in the Scat Fashion Show as like a dresser, backstage and seeing what's behind the scenes is really amazing. Like all these designers and these different fashion designs and garments. It's really amazing to see that.
Oh, I love that. That's dope.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely really, really cool. But I definitely want to get into this question because, everybody has their own unique fashion style. So if you had to describe the Gabrielle Amani aesthetic, how would you describe your aesthetic and
That's
how
a
would you
great
describe your fashion style?
question. Well, okay, so I like being cozy, right?
Mhm,
Believe it or not, like I love baggy stuff. So this, I would wear this a lot, like this a baggy hoodie and like this, but this is just my casual. I just like to, be calm and cozy. But honestly, I like shapes and I like I said, I have a pretty big chest. I'm a double D, but I'm quite small and I'm petite. So I like
mhm,
creating shapes. I love I like things that flare outward. I love color. I love black. I like chic. I would say the Gabrielle aesthetic is very chic with touches of like cool pieces. Um,
mhm,
I love looking clean and sophisticated. I love feeling like a
mhm.
woman in clothes. Sometimes I could do the tomboy thing, and I used
Yeah,
to do
right.
it a lot, but now that I'm older, I love just feeling like a woman. I like to walk in and feel like a woman. So I do a lot of
Mhm,
belted coats. In the winter, like you won't see me with like a puffer on anymore. It would
right.
always be like a trench, so I can belt and show waist. I always
Mhm,
give hourglass all the time. I always want to give a heel. I wear a lot of heels now. I don't wear sneakers as much. Um,
mm,
yeah, I used to wear a lot of sneakers. I used to be really into more street style, especially growing up in New York. But now
right.
I'm just really into like looking like almost like a bossy Parisian woman all the time. Like I like when I just look really classic and really sophisticated. So I would
Mhm,
say the Gabrielle style is sophisticated with a bit of like, a bit of twist, but I'm not super out there. I'm more
mhm,
so loving, I like to create really good shapes and I
mhm.
like to look really classy and really sophisticated. And I like to play with things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, really cool. But I definitely want to get into just in regards to just within sensationalism, because we live in a time of sensationalism, social media. And, I definitely want to really ask this question. In your perspective, how has Black culture shifted different areas of industry such as fashion, music, entertainment, and beauty? Because I believe definitely that Black culture has set the tone for the entire world. We're the trendsetters of the world. So
Hey,
I want you to add on to that.
amen. You said it. I mean, we've touched everything. Beauty, full lips, right? That's the thing we
Mhm,
naturally have. Asians have it too. South Asians has it as well. But even just like plumping lips. That's
Mhm.
something that we've brought out. The
Mhm.
underlining and the clear gloss, that's something that we brought out beauty wise. Um, Even
Mhm.
like the heavy contouring, like the heavy contour and the that's what I call that look. That's very drag. That's very reminiscent of drag culture, ballroom culture,
Right.
because when men wear makeup, especially in the drag culture, they're trying to show look more feminine. So learning
Mhm.
how to like minimize and maximize like feminine features on their face was really big within that culture. So that's directly from drag. Like those heavy beats, that's a drag ballroom thing. So
Mhm.
that's something that came from Black culture. The hair, the braids, the cornrows, the cool like style, the flip ponytails, and all those 90 cool styles. That's Black culture.
Right.
The street style, that's Black culture. All the sneaker looks and everything with the baggy jeans and the baggy denim and the cool stuff, that's Black culture. um the texture in how things are being designed for the body, to me that's Black culture. Like we've
Right.
always been designing things or wearing things to show off our curves, whereas other cultures maybe
Mhm.
did things to bind their curves, but we were always very proud of our, our bodies. So that's Black
Mhm.
culture. um I think music, they affect everything. I mean, everything you see in the music gets bottled up and put into the fashion and vice versa. So yes, I think Black culture, especially American Black culture, I want to be clear on that too.
Right.
Especially American Black culture has
Mhm.
affected a lot of trends we see today, a lot of
Right.
music we
Absolutely.
hear today. I mean, look at
Mhm.
all the rap, look at the Koreans. I mean, K-pop is literally just Black culture, just Korean style. For
Exactly.
real. I mean, it's Black culture, especially American Black culture, has influenced so much. I mean, I don't think there's nothing in the world we haven't touched because we are the original innovators. If you want to talk other Black culture too, Afro Latino culture and Caribbean culture, yeah, we've touched some things. Caribbean culture has touched the Afro beat. That's very reminiscent of the dance hall of the '90s, things such as that. But American Black culture has just touched so much, for sure. In a worldwide way, has touched so much.
Yes, absolutely. I could totally agree with that wholeheartedly. But I definitely want to shift gears and talk about, the importance of having a team. Because one of the things that my dad's always told me as a kid, to have a team, no one does it by themselves. So we live in a time also too, we live in a time where it's a lot about individualism and ego and about the meism type of thing. And one of the things you talked about in a podcast as of recently was about that you and your mom financed your MeFeater magazine. And I definitely want to ask this question. In having your own business, tell us about the critical importance of having a team, but also while having a team, sustaining business relationships.
Relationships, everything. That's how you get paid. That's how you save money. That's how you get things off the ground. Relationships is like top tier, very important. I'm even learning myself now. Like I do everything in my power to keep a relationship good. Even if I like feel like it could go another way, I try my best to always make sure that relationship is good. So that's one thing. Relationships are super important. In regards to a team keeps you sharp if you have the right people around you. A team keeps you focused if you have the right people around you. Heavy on if
Mhm.
you have the right people around you. Remember that. A team
Mhm.
keeps you consistent if you have the right people around you. And a team keeps you on your toes if you have the right people around you. So a team is really important.
Mhm.
Nothing is done by one person. I mean, if it
Right.
is, God bless those people. It was never me. There's been moments where I had to do a lot of things by myself, but the only way I was able to grow and be into where and be in the next level is with a team. I mean,
Exactly.
the bigger you grow, the bigger the production operation gets. You need more hands on
Mhm.
the ground, but you need good hands on the ground. So not just anybody, but people that really are invested in seeing this thing fly.
Absolutely, most definitely. I could totally agree with that 100%. But I want to get into mental health because mental health is very, very important. There's a lot of people, especially in our generation, talking about the importance of mental health and, saying it's okay to get help, it's okay to take a step back. But I definitely want to get into, with regards to mental health, how have you been able to balance mental health with having the MeFeater brand?
Very well. In the beginning, mental health was whooping my ass in the beginning. And it didn't
Mhm.
get better until after COVID, because after COVID, I decided to make my mental health and me a really big priority. I've always
Mhm.
cared about me, I've always loved me, but I don't know
Mhm.
if I've always put myself first. I don't know if I think I said this outside of the interview. I'm the oldest of 9 kids. I've been an instant mother since I was 12. It just is what it is.
Mhm.
So I've never
Mhm.
really cared about myself all of the way. But I made a conscious effort to put myself first, and that meant putting my mental health first because my family does suffer mental health issues. Bipolar schizophrenia runs heavily on my dad's side. The women are very
Mm.
depressed. Unfortunately, some of my cousins were suicidal at different points of their adolescence and within their adulthood. So I knew from a very young age, if I didn't get it right, I will fall to the depths of my family genes. It is in my family to have these things. I do suffer from anxiety attacks. So keeping my anxiety in an all-time like level is really important because I do suffer from anxiety attacks. I do. I think
Mhm.
mental health is knowing the family, understanding what's in those genes, because that's really important. I don't think people are saying that enough. That's a lot of this stuff runs in the genes, runs in the family. Knowing your family, knowing
Mhm.
your limits, knowing when to fall back, knowing when to push forward, and
Right.
prayer. Lots of prayer. For me, I'm a God woman. I'm a God fearing woman. Not everyone is. I respect that. No, actually, I don't respect it, but I understand it. That's the better word.
Right.
Because I really love God. But if it wasn't for God, I don't think I would be where I am. I know I wouldn't be where I am today
Mhm.
because He's given me confidence when I had none. So that being
Mhm.
said, mental health is extremely important in keeping a business alive, extremely important in keeping you alive. And I don't, if you
Mhm.
don't put yourself first, it's not going to work. And I
Mhm.
stand by that.
Now, if you could write the future, where do you see yourself in the MeFeater brand in 10 years' time?
Whew, my gosh, I'm going to be 38. 10 years from now, someone else will definitely be running it for sure. I don't want to be running it at 38. I hate to say, I want to be well within my kids, PTA meetings, cooking dinner, traveling the
Mhm.
world with them, teaching them things that makes them an amazing adult. So I won't be the CEO in 10 years for sure. And I won't be head of sales in 10 years. But
Mhm.
I will be guiding whoever is going to take my place. I will be getting into other things that I really want to do. For MeFeater, I see MeFeater having a lot of brands under its belt. I see clothing. I see more creative content. I
Mm.
podcasts like this one. This is fantastic. I see us having this too. I see books. I see more shows, more clients. I see a heavy pull on certain industries, especially New York Fashion Week, especially industries within music. I feel that MeFeater will have a huge pull in female rap, really making
Mhm.
sure we guide the female rappers into like a very fashionable voice. I see MeFeater having locations. I see MeFeater having video games and having its own app, and I see it really just being an
Mm.
amazing magnet, standout brand for our generation, and being one of those brands that really came out of like the millennial Gen Z world, since that's where we kind of did. And I just see it transcending so much and transcending generations. Because, like I said, in 10 years, I don't see myself running it. I don't want to run it in 10 years. I won't lie to you. Some people love work,
Mhm.
and I love work too. It's in the Bible. You should love what you do, and you should love to work. But
Mhm.
I can work. I started this when I was 17. So that means
Mm.
in another 10 years, I'll be 20 years deep. I think at that point, I would want to go into another part of my life. Will I come back and do things? Oh, yeah, all day, every day. But I will have a team of sharks that will be running the show, and I'll just be like guiding them on what to do and maybe calling a few shots, but I won't be
Mhm.
running the show. I won't be the day to day at all.
Mhm. Mm, absolutely, that's understandable. Now, last but not least, where can people find you on social media? How can people support the MeFeater brand?
So you can find us on Instagram at Meth Eaters Magazine. We did lose the original account due to musical copyright. So
Mm.
the original account was under at Meth Eater, but now it's at Meth Eaters, so S Magazine. On Twitter, we're at Meth Eater. On Pinterest, we're at Meth Eater. On what is it called? On YouTube, we're at Meth Eater. At
Mhm.
at TikTok, we're at Meth Eater. So everything's at Meth Eater, but Instagram, because unfortunately we did lose that account. Hopefully we can get it back to musical copyright.
Mhm. Mm, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Gabrielle, for jumping onto the show. This was such a great, wonderful conversation. You kept it real. I love what you're doing for your brand, and that's what makes it so different, MeFeater, because not only you focus on entertainment and music, but also the fashion aspect. So I really love how you're very passionate about the fashion aspect. of what you do. So I really appreciate that. So thank you so much. It was a great conversation.
Thank you for having me, Asia. I appreciate it. You're a great interviewer. You asked some great questions. You were well researched. And I appreciate you making, like, just reaching out and making this work. I'm really just happy to be here. And I salute you and what you're doing. You're doing some great work. So keep up the great work.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Keep in touch. Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Be sure to check out my website, ASIATHABIRD.com, and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care, stay healthy, and stay beautiful. Bye-bye.